Hello YouTube, this is Juan and today we'll be going over how to set up Inter-VLAN routing. I'm gonna try to make this quick and to the point, that way you can go and lab it up yourself. Some people say that, Inter-VLAN routing is not as prevalent anymore, and to a point it pretty much is true, but I think in small deployments, I know where I work, we have smaller branch offices where we still use Inter-VLAN routing between our routers and layer 2 switches, and they work pretty well. So, I mean, it's still good to learn, still good, relevant for certification purposes. So, let's get started. I just want to do an overview here of the setup that I have. It's pretty simple. I got the router where we're gonna be setting up sub interfaces, DHCP server, so we can practice configuring IP helper. Got layer 2 switch over here, layer 2 switch 01 over here, gig 02, gig 03, and each of those are in different VLANs, and that's it. Let's get started. Alright, so what we're going to do is to start with the router and start configuring the sub interfaces for gig 00, which is pretty much where our customers or users are going to be. So we're gonna get started right away, keep it simple. So configuration terminal, then we're gonna go to interface gigabit 00, and this doesn't have to coincide with the VLAN that you're configuring, but to keep it simple, I think it's pretty much common to see this where you match the VLAN with the sub interface as far as right here. So we're gonna do that. Then what we're gonna do is do the description. We'll call it data. Then go to encapsulation .1q, and this has to match the VLAN that you're configuring, right? So we're doing it for VLAN 10. So 10, and then IP address is going to be 172.16.10.1. We're gonna assign it a .1 for the router. So, or default gateway, whatever. Do that, and pretty much that's it as far as configuring the sub interface. Now we're gonna go and configure the sub interface for VLAN 20. I'm gonna give it a description, voice, encapsulation .1q, and gonna do this for VLAN 20. IP address will be 172.16.20.1 with a 24-bit mask, and that's it. Now we're gonna configure our last sub interface. Interface gig 0030. Description is going to be print encapsulation .1q VLAN 30. IP address 172.16.30.1, and again a 24-bit mask. Just keeping it simple. Alright, and that pretty much configures our router. Okay, so now we move on to the switch. On the switch, we pretty much have to configure this interface over here as trunk, because obviously we'll be carrying all the different VLANs through this interface. So we gotta configure that as a trunk. So we go to interface gig 01, switch port, mode trunk. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so now we're gonna configure the IP helper address. And as you can already see in the screen, my DHCP server IP address, it's 10.0.0.2. That's my DHCP server. So in order for our clients in VLAN 10, 20, and 30 to get their IP addresses, we need to configure IP helper address at the first hop, which is for VLAN 10 it will be at .172.16.10.1, and then 20.1 for VLAN 20, and 30.1 for VLAN 30. we're already here at interface gig 00.10, and all you have to do is do IP helper address 10.0.0.2, enter, and that configures IP helper for VLAN 10. Now we go to use the up arrow, we do 00.20, and we do the same server. Enter, go to VLAN 30, do the same thing, and there we go. We have configured IP helper address. So now the computers should definitely get an IP address from the server. Okay, so we're gonna do a verification here to make sure it works. Everything is working as intended. So I'm gonna open the first PC in VLAN 10. I'm gonna go config DHCP, and there you go, an IP address from the DHCP server. Do the same for the PC in VLAN 20, DHCP. There you go, and there you go. And last, we have the PC in VLAN 30. There you go. And there you go.